I believe that our church Centerpoint is at one of those really big defining moments. I remember several other defining moments that, now looking back, seemed big at the time, but if we didn't take those steps of faith, the church wouldn't be where it is today. I remember so many of these defining moments. I know that this is the big one because I know this determines what happens in the next 5 to 10 years. Are we going to be a church that really steps out and risks everything in faith? Are we just going to stay connected to each other in a small holy huddle and just meet each other's needs? Or are we going to take it to that next level, have faith and step out and change the world, believing in a God whose power is great and immense, believing that ordinary people like you and I, joining God in the work He is already doing, can do things that have never been done? Jenny and I want to share with you several of our defining moments.
When Jonathan and I and 3 other families started this church, we had no idea what we were getting into. And I can say with confidence, none. We knew it was going to be a lot of hard work and a lifelong commitment. But we were willing because we wanted a place where people could come and experience Christ and a church that would reach beyond the borders of our 4 walls. We wanted it to be somewhere warm and welcoming.
The following Sunday, I took my daughter Jasmine and I went to Centerpoint, where we were welcomed with a big smile and a warm handshake. And then as we went into the worship service, I discovered that the worship was just real natural and uplifting, and the worship team was very talented, and the songs that they sung, their songs were very relevant.
So I said, well, I'm going to go to church up here and look around, and I came to Centerpoint, and I think Armando greeted me, and he had his little white hat on and his cowboy boots, but we were looking for a church that accepted anybody, whether you're rich, poor, fat, skinny, I guess. I don't know, but anyway, where anyone was accepted.
I feel like this is my church home. I've never had that before, and it's been the people in this church and those relationships that I like and I like being involved with.
Neither one of us had much of an upbringing in church, and I know I didn't have any. And again, I agree with him in regards to that. It's our home.
So I went, and I was greeted by a man that I didn't know then, but I know now as Ivan Hales. And he was very warm and friendly, and we were invited in, and just seemed, everyone was very receptive and very open, and we felt very comfortable.
It's like everybody greets you when you come in. There's like, everybody's got a warm soul there. You walk in, it's like, hey, how you doing? Yeah, they're all friendly. They got smiles on their. I don't think I've ever seen a sad person there. Everybody's always got a smile on their face. And if they don't, they come there and then they do.
I feel very welcome.
Happy.
When I walk into Centerpoint, I feel really welcome.
A warm feeling.
And I like it because everybody just comes up and greets me, and it makes me feel a lot happier. It's like I always feel the presence of the Lord there too.
I really enjoyed the worship music, and I'd known a few people there already that I met through Celebrate Recovery, so it just seemed to fit in there really, really well, really got along with folks, and thought the music and the word and everything was really good.
I liked how friendly everybody was and how good the sermons were. It feels like family there.
Yeah, exactly. I think for me, the impact that Centerpoint has is because we love the community, and I see this church just really striving to make a difference in the community.
I got a sense of belonging. It was more than just a Sunday handshake or Sunday smile. I got a sense of community and relevance.
So we began to collect everything that we needed and rented the community center and started inviting our friends and neighbors. I never dreamed God would call me to be a lead pastor.
The pastor, who I didn't know was a pastor yet, got up there and gave us a little break. And on that break, he came down and talked to me for a few minutes, and he seemed like the real thing. Got back up there. Then I found out he was a pastor. He started a sermon, and in that sermon, it felt like he was preaching right to me. And I knew he didn't know me from Adam, but I felt really convicted that there needed to be a change in my life. And Center Point that morning was the Center Point was the turning point in my life.
Later on, as we began attending, I really appreciated the fact that it was a Christian church and it was based on sound biblical principle, and we appreciated the pastor and his messages. Well, in the area of leadership, obviously we have good pastors, and but I was privileged to serve on the first elder board at Center Point, and it was very challenging and very rewarding.
Being involved with the leaders of this church has been a lot of fun. I talked about relationships, but watching the people of this church and the people who have been called to leadership roles, no matter where that is in the church, whether it's with the children's ministries or CR or elders or the worship and the music, the ushers, all those people that are involved are just people like me, everyday folks who are just trying to be obedient and have a heart for God, but I think everybody has a cheerfulness about them.
Being a part in the leadership in the church has really caused me to grow as an individual. It's also helped me in my work career also. And you know, some of the guys that I hang out with that are in the leadership, you just really you grow into relationships with them, and I like to have friends, and we just grow together as a body of believers, and we all have the same attitude. And you know, our board meetings are just really a gathering of like-minded individuals that have the same goal of reaching our community.
With the pastor, with Pastor Jonathan and Jenny and their whole family, they've been great. We love their hospitality. We just enjoy how they go out of their way to serve the community and help others, and just the passion they have for God.
At our first gathering as Center Point, there were almost 100 people, and we worshiped and prayed, and I gave a message. From the very beginning, people started making commitments to Christ. We committed to giving a simple but powerful, relevant, creative message from the timeless truths of God's Word.
We've been going to Center Point since it first started. We were one of the 4 couples that helped start the church.
I think that Eatonville is in desperate need for a place that can help hurting families. And Center Point is that place.
Center Point would not be here without so many people just giving of their lives and believing in something that they couldn't see. I am so thankful that this little group took that step to stand and say that we are going to do this. It's a defining moment.
And I'm very excited for that day when we open up the door to our building. It will be a very amazing process, and I feel very privileged to have been from the very conception through this whole campaign and being able to see it come to be.
The building, the site that they got, where they started and how far they've come so far and where we're going. It's just neat to be a part of that and hear all the great things that are going on behind the scenes. I enjoy how Pastor's always sharing us stuff that's personal.
As our church grew, quickly the community center became too small. We moved our gathering from the community center to the Eatonville High School to make room for one more. Knowing that the school could only be used for temporary use, we started looking for a piece of property, some land to build a home to call our own. From the very beginning, we have been a regional church covering a wide area. We knew we would need a good number of acres to facilitate the vision that God had placed on our hearts. Several had said, "You don't need more than 2 acres for a church. Why would you need 10 acres? What would you do with it all?" I just smiled and said that we were definitely looking for 10 acres or more. We wanted to be a church that doesn't turn people away. We wanted to always have room for one more. I remember after looking at many pieces of property, my mother-in-law suggested calling again the owner of the piece of property we now have. You know, they weren't really interested in selling this whole, they were interested in selling the whole piece they had, and we just wanted a portion of that. I called them up and they said, "Let's talk."
We decided that 10 acres would be a good start for a church, that there was always room for one more. And we always wanted to have a church that taught the Bible and encouraged people to learn more and more about Christ.
The rest of the story is that we ended up purchasing the 10 acres that used to be the sawmill, the main industry for this community in its time. Centerpoint, think about this with me for a moment. We have the privilege of taking what used to be the industrial center of the community and turning it into a spiritual center. Because of your faithfulness and support, we were able to purchase the property, clean it up, and make plans for construction. And we even put a walking trail around the perimeter, which is now open to the public. And a lot of people are using it.
Being able to purchase that property and you know, it's something that can impact lives for the future. And, you know, someday we're going to stand before the Lord and He's going to say, "Well done, good and faithful servants." I guess Christ did so much work in our lives that we both feel it's very important to reach out and extend that same thing that people did for us when we were young Christians. We feel it's important to extend it out to other people and give the opportunities to other people in our community. God has blessed us so much in our lives that we know that we've been blessed to be a blessing, and that's why we want to be a part of Centerpoint and how we're moving on the Stand campaign to build the church and the community and to reach the community and surrounding area, just because our lives have been affected from what people did for us years ago. Through our giving and stuff, I know that God has blessed our careers and blessed us in so many ways. But Jesus said, "Seek first His kingdom and His righteousness, and all these other things will come to pass." Well, when you're giving, if you're actively giving and you're part of a building program or something that's bringing the gospel into your community, well, that's seeking. You're seeking, and God supplies all those other needs when you're a part of building His kingdom.
God is leading us to build a tool so that we can be even more effective at reaching people. The next step for Centerpoint is to stand together in faith, to provide a place that people will feel welcome and hear the good news of the gospel.
I liked that our children were involved with improving the community, painting curbs and painting the bleachers in the name of Christ, and as a ministry, doing those things for the community.
My kids really enjoyed it, and that was a big part of why we started coming, is because of our kids. It's important that they learn about God and that they enjoy what they're learning, and the children there and the leaders there.
You know, have a great children's ministry, you know, and really working on, I mean, it's a focal point. It's not just for the church itself, but that the congregation gets fed, but that the church is really concerned about kids, which is obviously important to me.
As we approach our 5th year, Jenny and I really feel we're standing at a monumental moment in history where we can change the world. In the last few years, we have grown, and over 200 have made first-time commitments for Christ. We launched Celebrate Recovery, recognizing that everyone has hurts, habits, and hang-ups. We developed Centerpoint Institute into a 3-year program that equips leaders for life to lead their homes, businesses, and in the church, and to make a difference around the world. We have put on bold outreaches to our community with evangelistic dramas and cutting-edge music. We are moving forward in faith together. We will build a facility to house these ministries, which will further empower us to reach the vision God has placed on our hearts, to passionately point people to pursue a Christ-centered life. There's nothing greater.
We have taken teams to third world countries and helped paint 14 new churches, built a church out of cinder blocks in Honduras, and ministered to women rescued from the streets in Chile. We have adopted a church planting pastor and his family who is ministering in several churches in Honduras. God says, to whom much is given, much is required. And if you live in America, much is given. We have so much to offer as a church. We believe this is the defining moment for us to do that.
So I got to go with this really great group of people down to Honduras, Central America, and we built a church for a pastor down there and his congregation, and it was an amazing, amazing, amazing experience.
When we were helping build, I went up on the roof and we were putting some sheet metal on, and they were running around on the trusses like it was just a children's playground. It was crazy. It was just crazy seeing like how little they have and how much they still celebrate the love of God, and just it's really helped me in my walk with the Lord. I've just grown a lot since. When we got back from Honduras, it was really weird. The first Sunday going to church, I realized like we have chairs, and it was just so weird to think that we have this nice stage and we could sit on the floor and not be covered in dirt. Like, you know, it was just so, it was weird. Like, you don't think about that. You go into a place and it's just normal to have flooring. But down there, you know, there's lots of places that don't have floors even. It's just dirt. So it was really cool to come back and see how blessed we are, how much we do have, and how amazing it will be to have our very own building.
Standing together, we can provide fresh drinking water to tens of thousands in Africa who currently have no clean drinking water at all. We will stand for the poor and the powerless to end hunger and poverty and provide basic medical for many in need of care. We can change the world with the gospel of Jesus Christ and with our boots on the ground, but it's going to take major sacrifice, giving, serving, everyone doing their part together. Together we can do our part and help over 1 million people in desperate need of God's love. Together we can stand and make a difference not only in our community, but around the world.
I think it is absolutely imperative that every kid have an awesome church that they feel that they are a part of. That is one of the primary things that Jonathan and I had a passion for when we planted Centerpoint. We wanted students to have a place to go, not that was perfect, but a place where other young people were going in the same direction. A place where there would be pastors and mentors around them that loved them and cared for them and that would get involved in their lives. A team that would share with them the truths from the Bible that could make a positive impact in their life.
The reason why I keep coming back to Centerpoint is because I feel like I need to work on my relationship with God, and the pastor really helps me with that, with all the messages, and I feel like I'm getting to know the Lord better every time I go.
Before we came to Centerpoint, we weren't really a very religious family. I mean, we did believe in God and we said our prayers every night, but we didn't know Him very well. Centerpoint was kind of like our passage into knowing God.
If it wasn't for Centerpoint, I probably wouldn't be a Christian.
When I was real small, when we started coming to Centerpoint, Pastor Jonathan had everybody bow their heads and close their eyes, and he said, if you have not accepted the Lord into your life, please raise your hand and pray this prayer with me today. And I rose my hand and I prayed that prayer today. And I gave my soul to Jesus, and that was a good day.
So there's so many opportunities at Centerpoint. I'm so excited to be able to be a part of the worship band and the youth band, and also, the stage crew, and just talking to new people and seeing how the church is growing, and just to see the impact that it's had on my life and the people around me.
Youth group, it really helps me because it's a weekly checkup that, you know what I mean? And actually, the last few weeks, they've been really good for me.
When we got back from Generation Unleashed, that was awesome. I'd never felt more close to God in my entire life after that.
You could literally feel the presence of Him in that room.
When you were in the room with all of those other kids, the presence of God was there. You could feel it. It was awesome.
It was crazy. I've never felt so close to God, actually, and I've never really been that happy or this happy.
Go Centerpoint.
We wanted to reach the unchurched teens of this area and tell them how much Jesus loved them and teach them the truths of the Bible so that they can do the same for the next generation. We want to teach them to serve in the church and to help others and equip them to be leaders and send them out on short-term missions so that hand in hand we can make a difference. This next generation is going to change the world, and Centerpoint is going to stand with them.
It was really nice through Michael's whole transplant thing, because I was going through a lot too. It was really nice to know that we had a church family that is always there for us, and you guys made sure that we knew that you were there for us. And the prayers really helped, and I think without the prayers, Michael probably wouldn't be here today, because God is amazing.
Yeah, my dad was looking through our Caring Bridge website and just all the prayers and everything. And he started thinking about it, and there was our church, and everybody in our church prayed, and they told people about me, and had them praying, and then those people told people about me and had them praying, and then the Caring Bridge website I've had over 10,000 views on that page, and all of those people were praying.
It's crazy how many people were praying for him, and God does amazing things.
Yes, He does.
One of the best investments you can make to continue to show that you care about the next generation is to invest in what truly matters most, so that we can go out to touch the lives of kids here and around the world. We are an ordinary, imperfect congregation, but I know this: that's who God uses, and He uses ordinary people who choose to trust in an extraordinary God.
At this defining moment, we choose as best we know how to take that step of faith and stand on this vision. But this is that moment that if we step back and shrink in fear, then we will never reach who God wants us to reach. We will never become all that God wants us to become. If we step forward in faith, we could never dream what God is going to do, because it's far beyond what we could ever imagine. It is a true honor for us to commit to be a part of this Stand campaign and put our stake in the ground and say, you know what? However far God has brought us over the past 4 years, this is just the beginning. Jenny and I are ready to give everything that we have personally to make a difference and to join hands with this church and say, this is going to be our mark for eternity. This is where we're going to make our stand. We are so excited to join hands with you.